in my experience, is kids who come in to see me are doing way too much. They're playing in too many games. Typical like baseball kid who's a pitcher. It's like, it's always, my first question is always like, well, how much are they doing? And it's like, well, they're playing on 3 teams. They've got, they're pitching twice on Saturday, once on Sunday. They pitch 3 times during the week. And it's like typically very obvious. The answer is generally like, you need to just like chill out. And as you guys probably know, I mean, even though that seems like a simple solution, a lot of times parents especially think that like the little league game that their kid has that weekend is the most important thing in the world. But, no major league scouts are showing up at 12-year-old baseball games. And you're like, if your kid misses, like, I'm like, just take the weekend off, so you're not throwing 3 times over the weekend. And even like those very short breaks can make a huge difference. So a lot of times, like, that's the lowest hanging fruit. I mean, yes, I could do an assessment and look for mobility limitations, motor control things, but you could do that with almost any adolescent, and you're going to find things that don't look good, and they're asymptomatic and they're healthy and they're fine. So the whole like load management thing, I just think is probably like where I go first with kids, load management and just ruling out anything structural. And again, not that those things don't matter with adults, but I typically find that, unless you're working with like a pro athlete or like a very high level athlete, like kids paradoxically do overdo it way more than adults do. And even in like a college setting, like typically at least coaches and medical staffs are like somewhat, it's like on their radar, like load management, proper programming. With adolescents and young kids, that's like not an emphasis at all. And it's really just like, it's become so hyper competitive where people think that, if they do more when they're 12 years old, it's going to like set them up for some kind of athletic, stardom in the future. And they're, typically, again, another paradox is we kind of need the best coaches at that level, in that developmental stage, but the best coaches tend to not want to work with kids. They want to work in the more prestigious settings, whether it's like college or pros. And those athletes are generally like need the least coaching and development because they're already good, whether it's genetically or because they've just had proper development when they were coming up. And then, like at the youth level, a lot of times the coaches, like in my town, like youth sports is huge, but it's all, for the most part, at least in terms of the sport coaches, it's parents who are volunteering who haven't probably had the education that we've had, and they're well intentioned, but they don't really have the knowledge base. So you take that with parents who are overzealous and hyper competitive and get sucked into that rat race. And every parent, I'm sure, starts out saying that's not going to be me, including myself. But like my son's 2, I've got another one on the way. I mean, who knows? Maybe in 5 years, like I'll be the one going to all these games and getting sucked in. So like, I'm not trying to like say that attribute it like and say these people are blameworthy per se. It's a complex problem, but that's, with kids, it's like I'm trying to rule out structural issues, especially with bone, and just really trying to tease out like, are they doing too much? And 90% of the time, like that's the thing. And my recommendation is typically just like, let's figure out a way for you to do less, whether it's taking a couple of days off, whether it's instead of playing on 2 teams for the next week, you play on 1 team and pick the team or the games that are more important. And they tend to not need like physical therapy as much as just taking a rest. And then I find like with young kids, like just general good strength and conditioning, almost like good physical education is going to help them more than like doing physical therapy per se. But I mean, if they truly need physical therapy, it's a bad situation for them. And, I've seen that too with like getting more and more youth athletes having things like ACL surgeries, Tommy John, like that's when they truly need physical therapy. But if their knee hurts from doing too much, they don't like, cause I'm more of like a, what they call medical conservative. Like I think we do too much medicine and we pathologize too many things. Like if a kid doesn't need to see me, I'd rather they go either sit at home and rest or like go play with their friends. Like, I mean, adults don't want to do physical therapy. So a kid wants to do it even less. Like I don't want to, and I value people's time, right? So I don't want to like take a kid or even a grown up that's already busy and make them do something else that they don't want to do if they can just rest and that gets them where they want to go, or, do, like I said, good PE, or they have access to good strength and conditioning and they could do it with their friends in a team setting where it's more fun than working with me, then I try to do that.